Hello, my name is Wayne Perry, the TV Carpenter, and thank you for watching the Daily DIY. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create and fit wood panelling. It's a really easy thing to do. It looks more complicated than it is, and there's a few tricks along the way that can give you this beautiful effect. So it looks like this whole low level here like has all been panelled out. And in actual fact, all I've done is stick on some MDF timber strips and then painted it so it looks like it's proper panelling. Original panelling used to panel all of these bits as well, and it was used as an insulation in old properties. That's why it was originally created. But we don't want it for that, it's just a decorative thing. Now this is a hallway, it's my downstairs hallway, and if you look on my Instagram stories, you'll have seen me designing this and painting this. This is Avalon Blue by Thorndown, and it gives that rich feel of an entrance hall. And I'm going to show you how I did it. The main thing you need to consider is the planning of it, working out how things look equal. So I had this wall and I had a wall on the other side here. It's the entrance hall, but I wanted to make sure they were equal. So I wanted to make sure that these rectangles were equally spaced, not only on this wall, but on the wall opposite it. So you need to look at your room as a whole and make sure, and you're planning it out how you can make each one. There'll be nothing worse than on that side than being a lot narrower. It'll just look wrong. So try and get it as equal as possible on all walls that you're going to be doing if it's in the same room. And another thing to consider when you're planning it out is your plug sockets. I've done a similar thing in my bedroom where we panelled it all, and there was lots of plug sockets. So I had to design it in a way so that the plug sockets never went through any of these vertical struts. It just looks wrong. Try and get any of your plug sockets within the main body here rather than on a piece of timber here. Just aesthetically wise, it looks better if it's there. So once you've planned out and you've worked out where you want the squares to be all around, how do you attach them? This is just strips of MDF. It's just strips of wood. And I worked out that if I had all of these struts, this is 7 centimetres, and then I wanted the bit above the skirting board along here, I wanted that 7 centimetres, and I wanted this bit here 7 centimetres. But I also needed this extra strip, so I added an extra strip along the top, so that then when I put a piece of timber on the top, it had something to sit on. Because if this piece of timber on the top was just sitting on one, I think it's 9mm thick MDF, it would just fall off. So I added another strip along the top here. I had all of this pre-cut, and I'll show you in another video how to do that, so you don't really have to do any cutting, minimal cutting. But what I did, I had lots of 7 centimetre wide strips cut, and I had them, this particular one at the bottom. So one thing to consider is the thickness of the timber that you're going to attach, and it's all determined by your skirting board. So look at the skirting board top, have a look on there and see how far it comes, how thick it is from the top. Because you don't want this piece of timber to go on a skirting board and to come further forward than the skirting board. You want it to be either in line with the skirting board or set back. Now I'm really lucky that this skirting board down here is actually a really thick skirting board. So I kind of could play about and I could be as thick as I liked, but I chose to do 9mm thick MDF. And that goes on there. And what you need to do is get a sharp knife or a screwdriver and scrape out any mess or any muck that's on top of your skirting board. Scrape it all out because you want to get into that corner as much as possible. And then with this long strip of timber that I put along the bottom, which is the first piece that went on top of my skirting board, I used the plane and I just took the back corner off. So the idea is, rather than the MDF being a really sharp corner at the back, I took the back bit off. So when I sat it down on top of the skirting, it went as flush as possible to the wall and on top of the skirting. So once you've got that first piece in, I then used the verticals, and I had all of these pre-cut, so they were all the same length. So there was all 7 centimetres wide, and I think they were about 50 centimetres high. And I run those all along equally spaced out. And then I put this piece on the top. Now this piece on the top isn't 7 centimetres, it's 7 centimetres plus this one here. So I think this one here was 4 centimetres. So I put 11 centimetre strip along the top first. And then when I added this 4cm bit here on top, it made this look 7. Does that make sense? So this top one here needs to be wider than the rest to accommodate this one. So that when this one's on, here looks like you've got a 7cm frame that goes all the way around. Now how did I attach them? I used a nail gun, so I've got like a high-powered pressure nail gun called an Airstrike, and it fires tiny little pins in. But if you don't, but they actually don't hold it on. It's the glue, so I used wood glue on here, squared it on the back, offered it up so it stuck to the wall, and then I pinned using my gun. You could screw them in, you could use a hammer and pin if you like, but fine pins. And then once you filled it in and it's painted it, you'll never see any of the pinheads. But it's the glue that holds it, not just the pins. And the pins just hold it in place while the glue's setting. So you don't need a big high-powered nail gun. Once this is on, then I put a piece of timber on the top here that just gives me a little bit of a shelf. It gives something, a bit of a decorative feature. It could be a dado rail, that's on here. Or I've even done it in houses where I've done the whole wall in panelling and I've gone all the way up to a picture rail. So it's finished at a picture rail. The problem with that is sometimes your picture rails are designed and they kind of curve in, so they go really fine at the bottom. If that's the case, what I sometimes do is this top piece that goes on, I chamfer off the edge just with a plane. You can get a cheap plane for about a £5, and you just run it off and it just takes off that top little edge of the MDF. So the wood goes up and then goes in to the picture rail. Ultimately, the idea is you want it to look like this panelling's always been here. You want it to look like it's not being added on afterwards. You don't want that. You don't want any steps anywhere. Once it's all on, then I filled in some gaps. The edges. You could even add extra beading in here. You could wallpaper in these. You can do lots of different things. But then if you just add a little bit of cork, a little filler along all the edges where the skirting boards are and down the sides. Pull it all together, and once it's all painted, it'll look like it's always been here. It looks like it's belonged. Hope that was helpful. I will be doing another video. I'll be showing you how to cut all this timber so you don't have to do it ahead of time. It's what I do with all my carpentry. It saves me so much time and money. I'll show you that in another video, so look out for that one. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions for me, contact me at thetvcarpenter.com. Follow me on there, ask me any questions. Don't forget you get links to the DIY Doers, which is a DIY resource free. It's a Facebook group. Hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching me, Wayne Berry, the TV Carpenter.